Hello everybody and welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford and it's aftermath after a 3-2 victory away at Aberdeen at Pittodrie. On this episode is Sam and Declan. Well lads, as we're speaking before we come on, a bit of a cagey second half shall we call it. Declan, what's your opinions after the match mate? I know it was a cagey as I say second half. First half was very good again, into half time, comfortable, created a lot of chances again. You're thinking second half, just see it out, and then obviously after the second half, the first 15 minutes is a bit shaky.
Aye, I thought before the game tonight, I'm going, Pittodrie usually is a hard place to go, regardless of Aberdeen's run of results or their form. They do tend to make it difficult. But I don't think you could have asked for a better start. Even the commentary I heard, which was mega biased, with the old Willie Miller act, was even they were surprised at how well Aberdeen had held out even after 17 minutes, not conceding a goal. And I felt at first that was a bit derogatory towards us, as if we hadn't started the way we normally do. But no sooner had that comment been made, bang, one, and then you get the second one. I thought we were on our way to the same sort of tone and everything we'd set in the last two games. And as you said, their second half was a kind of watch from behind the couch at times. But those are the kind of results that you need if you're going to go on and win this league title. That you have to grind it out as well as putting on the style. So
I agree, mate. I know every game's going to be 4-5-0 pumpings or everything your way. So, like you say, Sam, before we come on as well, it's like Declan says, you've got to win these games. If it's nitty gritty, you've got to always win this style, as Declan says. First half, Sam, like we've all said in the group chat, and I think most fans are thinking that's enough, 3-4-0, and then I thought the second half, we kind of stopped playing football.
Aye, I agree with obviously every one of Declan's points, and yeah, as both of you have pointed out, is you think, yes, we're on to a winner here, we're on to the same type of like tempo and performance that we've obviously got the last week and a bit. And everybody's jamming, happy as Larry. Obviously, we're still happy now that we won, but as Declan said, it's behind the couch moments in the second half. It's as if the team that's played, obviously, the way they've played in the last week went in, played the first half, and then it's as if they sent a completely different team out the second. Because there was just we were moving the ball a bit well, but it's just, even before the goals, it was just very slow and sluggish, and it wasn't the usual, like, for example, the way it was at Motherwell, zipping the ball across the park and stuff like that. And it just, I was like, I didn't, obviously I know we get the third after they scored their two, but I didn't think I thought it was going to stay at two, to be honest. And then obviously the two quick goals in succession, and as I said just before this started, it's probably the first time this season, as far as I can remember, if anybody knows a time and can correct me, that we've obviously conceded two goals in quick succession. So it's probably been a shock to the system. And then we've just been like, right, shit, what do we do here? Because we've never been in that position this season. So, but it's one of the places you go up to, and as Declan said, irrespective of Aberdeen's run of form, if it's good, poor, or whatever, you're going to get a game like that. And as much as we all want free-flowing, zipping football, you're not going to get that all the time, especially against the likes of Aberdeen, Hibs, Livingston, etc., etc. So I'm happy we get the win. Don't get me wrong, I'm probably been a wee bit too over negative, but I wasn't happy with that second half performance at all. There was not one bit. The only bit, sorry, I take it back, that I was happy with was how quickly we responded. That's it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't happy with anything else, to be honest.
No, I kind of see the thing is, I know we've been brilliant the last few weeks, and the last two games have been superb. But like I said to JP yesterday, you've only got to watch and comment on what you watch. So the night was a very good performance in the first half. Second half we slipped away, and you don't want to be too negative, but you've got to point out the negatives that did happen. I know Jota, for me, we'll start with the first goal with Jota. again, people might say the goalkeeper was at fault for misreading the cross. But then, in our point of view, I thought Jota done well to actually gamble. Some players might have not gambled, and he's gambled. And I thought as soon as we get the first goal, that was us. It would have been 2, 3, 4. And I didn't think Jota had the best of games. I know that sounds daft, he scored 2 goals, but gave away a few silly fouls, and maybe that's something he's going to maybe get out his game. There's the kind of rashness about him. But I think going forward, I thought it was really good going forward, I think.
I would totally agree with that. I missed the first goal. I was bringing the wee guy home for swimming lessons, so I was on parenting duties up to that point. But I've seen it again tonight, and what a ball it is across. And as you say, for Jota to gamble at the back stick like that is phenomenal to get there. It shows the commitment to wanting to get on the end of it. There was a similar ball put across by Abada in the game last Wednesday against Rangers. I don't even know if it was Jota that went for it then, and it was put right across for like a diagonal position. It was driven across. So I think that seems to be a pattern of play. I'm going to keep an eye out for the next couple of games. But yeah, what Jota going forward tonight, I think teams are now starting to realise, hold on a minute, if you give this guy space, he'll rip you apart. So tonight you've seen it yourself. Aberdeen, they seem to draft in 2 players, and your job is to keep him busy. You see, they doubled up on him, they made tackles. But what I'm quite pleased to see, I know we've discussed there that he gives away some silly fouls, like he gave the foul away that led to the second goal. But what I did notice, and I don't think you get this in a lot of players that are that talented at going forward, is they chase back and make tackles. Jota's done that a couple of times in recent weeks when he's come back and put the foot in. Mm-hmm. He's made a good tackle. The one tonight, he commits a foul and brings the guy down. But he's coming back to defend. I like that side of the game. Hopefully it's something that will get better going forward.
JP says, looking good, boys, with all the smiles. 15 minutes of the second half, I fell asleep, part of that, no issues. They're all JP, 100%, mate, they're all happy, but I think you've obviously got to look at the negatives that worry you, and obviously you've got to speak about them. But also on the positives, Sam, as Declan says there, Jota going forward, superb. He might have made a few tackles that were rash, but like Deck says, when he first came in, I thought he didn't track back enough, but now he's tracking back, and I'm still moaning at him because he's getting rash tackles away. I know he can't get it on, he can't win it all, but sometimes I think maybe the tackling, he's maybe got to get that sorted, because if that's like 2 each, he's going to get blamed for that goal. So, but as Declan says, the fact that he bounced back and he's got the goal, so you've got to obviously look at 2 ways. Going forward, he was superb, but maybe he's got to maybe rein in some of the tackles when it comes to being rash.
Aye, no, definitely, because come back to the point I made earlier, if that's any other type of game, or just obviously as you said, it's 2 each, then he's going to get obviously pelters off any or whatever section of the Celtic fans. So he definitely is, but it is obviously me being, as I said earlier, being probably too over negative. I've got to look at the positive as you brought up. It's made improvement because he is tracking back. So that is always obviously a positive to look at. As I always try to do anyway, not you obviously can't do it at every point. Try to get a positive out of a negative, and that's obviously one for that anyway.
I suppose, mate, you've got to get a positive out of a negative if you can. Obviously another positive is the second goal, Declan. I know Sky Sports are probably against an OG, but I thought Matt Arena played well on it. Don't think he done too much wrong. If people think he did, then let us know. But I thought he was quite comfortable in the game. I don't think he gave much away. He was very strong and just looked comfortable. For me, Declan, he kind of mirrors Rogic the way I see him play. Just glide past folk. He's strong, and sometimes I don't see a difference. I know he's just come in. To him and Rogic, he just looks basically a carbon copy. I don't know if that's what Andrew's trying to do. He's trying to get a similar amount of players that can just step in and step out when need be.
I think that was the idea of signing someone of that ilk when the window was open. I see the comparison between him and Rogic, but somebody made the point on Twitter the other day, and I kind of got where they were coming from as well. As he reminds you of Joe Ledley, because a lot of stuff that Joe Ledley done a lot of the dirty work, stuff that doesn't get picked up and shown enough. For me, O'Reilly's like that. Sometimes I think he can disappear. You kind of go, hold on a minute, where'd he come from? Do you know what I mean? He pops up and he does. He looks comfortable. He looks strong. He doesn't look in any way phased by playing under the sort of pressure of a team at the top of the league. No disrespect to MK Dons and all that, but the guy just seems to fit in seamlessly. He seems to play as if he's been part of the team for months.
No, I agree, mate. Some of his, as you say, some of his crossing ability, his passing. I'm really impressed with his passing, Sam. I know he's chipping in a few goals, and that's maybe something Ange wants to get into the guys who play in that position. But for me, it's his passing ability and crossing. He's always involved. He's wanting to take the ball. As Declan says, he's no intimidated or scared to take people on with the ball, and he's always asking for the ball. He's no scared, no hiding. And like we spoke about for months last year, players were hiding. Players didn't want the ball. And you're seeing now, Sam, nobody's hiding. They're all wanting the passes. They're all wanting the ball. They're all wanting to contribute, and that's only going to benefit us going forward. But it's just showing you exactly what Ange's trying to do with this squad of players, sir.
Aye, no, definitely, because you can't have like people going hiding, especially obviously last year was last year. We'll just leave it at that, obviously, but. That was the last thing, obviously, you wanted to say, as you pointed out. Players were hiding, no want to take responsibility, no want to take the ball on and be like, be confident. I couldn't get that word in my head there. But as you say, with this year, it's different. Everybody's open and nobody's shying away. Everybody's well. I think the thing wouldn't be hard based off last year, but I think the thing now, obviously based on this year, is there's a real tight unity. I know we've obviously brought it up before, but there's a tight unity. We're all playing for each other and playing for the manager, whereas last year it was obviously completely different. You seen every day, it was fucking clear to every day that nobody wanted to play for Lennon. And there probably wasn't a team bond, whereas obviously, as I said, it's completely different now. It's completely night and day to based on not even just how we were last year, but obviously like, even the year before. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that everybody's, as you say, wanting the passes, wanting the ball, wanting to take players on, and even like somebody like Abada, who's obviously only 20-year-old. No many 20-year-olds you'd want someday because they want to try and like show off and whatever, but he's willing to run at a defender, and as me and you said in a previous pod, he's everything we want James Forrest to be. And I know there's age differences and whatever, but obviously we could talk about James Forrest for ages, but I just think no, I like the way the team's playing based on last night, or earlier on the night, sorry. But I just think it's completely night and day, just in the style of play, the togetherness, and just again, everybody's wanting to take responsibility this year.
Obviously, like you said about Abada, I know he was on maybe the goal scoring terms, he was quiet, but he was trying a lot of things. He was trying to take men on, he was trying to get involved, and like you says, I know maybe James Forrest is he's still only 29, 30, he's maybe come to still years in his Celtic career. He's obviously going to maybe be explosive, or he might not be, like you says, a number one pick every week now. But I think when Forrest was younger, this is maybe Abada was like, taking men on, tricky, really direct. Abada just, I was kind of critical when he first came in, saying he was very raw, he was inconsistent. But the last maybe 4 or 5 weeks, he's been on it. As soon as he's getting the ball, he's boom. And for me, Dick, when you've got a bit of pace, defenders can't stand pace. They don't like facing their own goal. And if he keeps doing that and doing that and doing that, eventually he will get joy, because if you keep doing it in a game of football, the guy's going to get sick of it. Whoever's playing right or left back, they're going to stop with him, stop taking me on. and eventually he's going to get his goals, he's going to get miracles into the box. It's only going to benefit us going forward if we keep playing that style, because it's going to work every game if we keep at it.
Definitely. And I don't think you're the only one that was critical of Abada. Just before the winter break, we had a lot of people saying he started off really well, contributing with goals and else, but they think he fell away. I would agree with that to a degree, because as we've just mentioned there, he's 20 years of age, right? He's no longer turned 20. So you brought him in for a major rebuild. I don't think that he was ever supposed to be your starter. I think he was going to be a guy that you could look to come off the bench, and as I said, guys like James Forrest would be experienced players to help the rebuild and try and bring these guys through. But on merit, he's in that team now. As you're saying there, he wants to take men on, and what I think is brilliant is he's not just a winger that wants to get to the byline and just lump a ball across. He's quite happy to come off the line and attack the ball, the cross ball, going at the box. You've seen it against Rangers. And the other thing as well, I don't know the actual stat, but see the amount of headers he scored for a wee guy. Wee guys, Cliffy. But but he does. He gets on the end of them really, really well. I was talking to one of the guys at Toll Cross tonight, who's a big Rangers fan, and what he was saying was every time he get the ball against Barisic, all him and all his mates were watching him going, "Oh no, here we go again." So, but he's direct. He's quite happy to take it on. Barisic is an international, and this is a kid he's playing against. So yeah, and he's got pace to burn. But I'm really happy with him. I'm really happy with he's kicked on coming back from the winter break.
Massive pace to burn, mate. So much energy, and I think that's everything. Again, the first half proved again the day it was energy, and then into the second half, and obviously Ramirez gets that early goal in the second half, and I thought, Sam, they were quite slow to come out the second half, but we did expect a reaction from Aberdeen. It's going to happen at home. They're trying to win the game. They're trying to get back into the match. But I thought conceding the two goals quite early on, bit sloppy. I thought we were no on the rocks, but for maybe 10-15 minutes we looked a wee bit shaky at the back, and we were just getting rid of things, and we lost our composure. I don't want to be too critical of a lot of things, but I don't know if you agree with me, Sam. Right? People might say I'm talking one lot of shite. We've just won 3-2. I thought Starfelt looked a bit awkward tonight. Some of the things he bought his feet and he was turning round. I was like, mate, just pass the ball. But I don't know if I'm too critical. If I'm, because he's playing so well, I've been expecting him to play that all the time now. But I'm not saying he played bad, Sam. I don't think he played bad, but sometimes I just thought he looked a bit awkward. I don't know if that's just the way he looks, just that's the way he plays football. He just looks like an awkward guy. But I thought for 15-10 minutes we were a wee bit shaky when we were trying to get back into the match, obviously after 2 goals.
Aye, I don't think you're being too overcritical, because I'm going to make this point quick, because if I go and I could talk about it all night. I think some sections of our fans are too over complimentary, because I think, as you said, Darren, as you said earlier, sometimes you need to be critical, albeit they're obviously the ones on the pitch training hard, etc. Right? But we are fans that pay our money, obviously, to watch it on the telly and watch it, obviously, go to the games, etc., buy the taps and whatever. So we've got the right, I'd say anyway, to be critical, because we're pumping money in for them to be able to play. So I don't think you're being overcritical. Probably, I can look at it, see the point of view that you made, that probably because he has had like a couple of good stretches of games. But I think he's a great defender, but he's always got that awkward moment, as you say, where he turns around and then he just tries too hard, and as you said, you're like, just pass it or hit it, just do something. So no, I don't think you're being too overcritical, to be honest, no, because I think it's a part of the night. Obviously, we got the lost 2 quick goals, so him and the back line in general, I probably went, again, as I said earlier, shit, and they're probably panicking and trying too hard. But no, mate, I don't think you're being too overcritical. I think, as I said in previous podcasts, he's got that wee odd mistake or that wee awkward moment in him. As good a defender as he is.
As I said, Dick, I don't know if I've been overcritical on him. I don't think he played bad the game at all. I don't think he played bad. It was just that wee 10-15 minutes where I thought defensively just looked a wee bit spooked, I would say. I think we were, as we spoke before we come on, just a bit shocked, I think, and I don't know if that rattled them a wee bit. And it's similar, I think, when I was at the game against, was it Hibs? The semi-final, one or two of them, and I thought he had a bit of mare. I thought when Hibs scored, he looked shook. I don't know if that's a thing that happens when we concede, they start getting a bit shit, here we go. But then I'm being too critical because we went up the park and scored the third. But I'm only trying to comment on what I've seen for obviously the goals. And I thought for 10-15 minutes, it did look a bit shaky. The play Stokes, we just lost all composure. But then we went and get the third goal, and you're thinking, right, just slow the game down. But I don't know if it's me being over critical because we've been so good the last few weeks, Tech. But I think sometimes we try and do things too quick. I know you're maybe 2-1 up or you're 3-2 up. Even against Rangers, no, sorry, who were we playing? We played something a few weeks ago, and we're trying to play the ball dead quick all the time. Just use your experience and just close the game out. Take your time, rush it out. See, even like the last 10 minutes of the game tonight, we're still trying to score a goal. Just take the ball in the corner and just use the time wisely because you don't need to rush things all the time because if you keep rushing, sometimes you'll make mistakes. Like Joe Hart, sometimes Joe Hart likes to play a ball out for the back, and sometimes I do agree that he's going to give a go away within that. It's going to happen because that's the way the manager's wanting to play.
Yes. The big Starfield thing is I quite like Starfield. And I have been one of his biggest defenders at times. People just going, the big guy's not good enough. He's had some really standout performances. You went, that's it. The big guy's turned the corner, and then sometimes he looks so uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. But this was mentioned at the weekend when we played Motherwell. Obviously, he's a right-footed centre half playing on the left. Mm-hmm. And they're going, that adds to him being uncomfortable. And what the point that was made was when he looks to receive the ball and he's sitting his side on, because of the way we set up, it's so narrow when he gets the ball. And if he does make a mistake and if he's being pressed, he does panic because he's got to then put it on his weaker foot. So the thing is, if he would just give himself a bit more space, come a wee bit wider, and help himself, I think that is one of the issues. He looks so uncomfortable playing the ball with his left foot. And I know you'll have people out there say that sounds ridiculous for a professional footballer and internationalist, but that's what we're seeing. And I believe it was slightly unbalanced. Mm-hmm. The game you're talking about, the Hibs game, he get again when we conceded a goal, he looked as if the world's coming to an end. Mm-hmm. But tonight, I don't think he was the only one that was a bit I'm going to use the phrase shell shocked.
Yeah,
conceding two goals one after the other. But I had this thought earlier on. I don't know if you will agree, but it's brilliant us as supporters, and also the team get a massive boost for gubbing teams 3-0 and 4-0. But I think a game like that tonight for that team, as Sam mentioned earlier on, to gel as a unit, to have dug in and got the result tonight, they'll learn more from that than gubbing teams left, right, and centre.
No, I agree, mate. Definitely. I think again it shows the character of the team that we can go behind or we can draw games and then come back in and win the game. I think it shows the character of the squad, and it's not the first time it's happened this year. Obviously, we went behind and against Hibs and then we won. So I think you learn a lot, as Dick says, Sam, from the way your team comes back into games and not just we winning 4-5-0 because as Dick says, you learn new things from the squad, how they battle, how they get back into games, how they just calm down and then go again. I think that's what we've done, Sam. I know we went to 2 each, but we just looked a bit shell-shocked. We were like, look, listen, we need to settle down. And then, boom, we get the goal. And after we get the goal, we looked a bit more composed and we kind of seen it, and we kind of seen the game out.
Aye, no, definitely, because obviously in any case you would be like and be shell shocked, as you said, obviously conceding 2 quick goals in such quick succession. But it's on Deck's point with the fact that you see you can see that they could maybe learn more from that, rather than, as I said, clubbing teams 3-4-0 or whatever. Because, as I said earlier, I know it's not necessarily a negative tonight, at least anyway, but you can find a positive, obviously, and a negative. It goes back to that point. And it just goes back to the original point that I made earlier about the team, like the grinding, the team, the character. Because you see it now, where like if we clear sun, for example, they go and high five each other and hug each other. We don't see that, and it might seem pure like what they're doing that for, but it just shows that they're playing for each other. They're obviously grinding results out for as a team, and not just playing for their own selfish benefit. And we all know obviously who that was last year, but again, that's besides the point. But it's just, I keep using the words, it's complete night and day for the team that we were before, because it's just the character that we've got now, and the fight, the desire to win. It's not just a case of two each will just like accept it and obviously sit back and just take it. And that's obviously a testament to the way Ange is wanting the team to play. Going back to that training video saying obviously that they don't stop, and they don't. Obviously that tonight is a prime example. Dundee United, it's all season obviously, but I'm saying the most recent results. It's we've got such a better character as a team now. And as I said, we're not just willing to sit down and accept a draw or a defeat or whatever it is that obviously we're experiencing in that game.
I know it's come for JP. He says what's our thoughts on obviously the changing Greg Taylor, somebody else, and the guys getting better every game, and hopefully more basically to come. I agree, mate. People who listen to the podcast know I'm no one of Greg Taylor's biggest fans. But as I did say, the last 2 or 3 games he's been consistent again. He's been defending well. He's been getting a bit more forward. Again, that's maybe because he's actually maybe getting coached better now. He's getting instructions. He knows his role in the squad, and knows his role in the park, and maybe he's more comfortable in this team than he was last year. And they're winning. I still don't think he's the finished article, but again, under Ange, he might be a far better player, and I don't see him getting better under Ange. But again, you can only comment on what you see, and before the last few weeks, he wasn't very good. But the last few weeks, he's getting better. So you've got to praise him. And whatever I've said in the past, that's in the past. But I've got to comment on what I see the route, and he is getting better, Dick. And I thought he played well tonight. I don't think he done much wrong tonight. Even going forward, he seems to be lighting up with Jota a bit more. But is that, do you think, Dick, because maybe Jota's that good, and he's maybe helping him as well, even though Jota's young? Maybe they've got a good understanding together. I know that Taylor's actually reaping the benefits of that.
I think so. I think it could be a combination of things there. As if Jota knows he's got a competent defender behind him, it gives Jota freedom to go forward and to think, right, this is my responsibility. My responsibility is to drive at teams, get balls into the box, and create goals. But as we went back to Jota earlier on about him chasing back and helping out, that I think is the partnership evolving, which is good to see. There's a couple of moments where I've thought to myself, Taylor has come on leaps and bounds. The goal at the weekend when he plays the ball forward, and I think is it Midas path. He plays it in, and he puts it between about 3 players, and it's inch perfect, and the weight's perfect on it. Tonight, I found myself actually going in my eyes at one point. Greg Taylor was in the opposition's box, doing a double drag back. What am I seeing here? You know what I mean? Some of his crossing's great. I know that was a big criticism of him last season, was the final ball was poor, but the same could have been said about a lot of the team last year. I'm quite happy the guy's getting a bit of credit now, because again, I defended him quite a lot last season, but he's now getting praised by quite a large element of the support rather than becoming the whipping boy.
No, I agree, mate. Again, I'm very vocal about that. I didn't think he was good enough. I still don't think he's a finished article, but again, Sam, you can only comment on what you see. And as it stands at the moment, he's got the left back position until he plays really poor again. I don't think he'll lose it. But again, obviously, the way Ange's and just want to play. There's a lot of there's a lot of
Excuse me.
a lot of rotation involved. But for me, I thought it was superb on it, and I agree with JP. He's coming on leaps and bounds the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Aye, no, definitely, because obviously not as much as you, because we all know how your feelings are on Taylor, but I wasn't one of his biggest fans either. I was very critical of him, but as JP said, and obviously as Dex just said there, he is coming on. Like, you can see it. I don't think somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he's had a bad game since he came back from his shoulder injury. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I don't think he's had a bad game since. Obviously, I'd say maybe the word, I don't know if it's the right word to use, but the turning point, as Deck obviously pointed out, where he's getting the applaud and not being the whipping boy, was the Rangers game. I thought every day was obviously outstanding at the Rangers game, but I thought because of that, because he's been the whipping boy, I thought Greg Taylor was outstanding. Like, I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but it was like, oh, he's won this amount of duels and he's done this and he's done that. He's been outstanding, honestly, and I've said it before. I don't mind a player making me eat my words. Obviously, the big one's Ralston. I didn't think Ralston make it, and he's made me eat my words, so I don't mind it being with Taylor. But I'm starting to. I think you pointed out in a previous podcast, right? I'm starting to slightly want with him. Mm-hmm. But it's just a case of whether or not he can be consistent and keep going. But I don't know if it's. I can't remember who made the point, but I don't know if it's now because he's been coached by a proper manager. That can maybe be unleashed at him, but if it's his jersey to lose now, to be honest, and if he continues in the way he's gone, I've got to admit it, I don't see a problem keeping him in there now, to be honest. So, I reckon he's been very good, our wee Greg.
No, as I say, he's been good the last few weeks, and I would like to say I'm quite straightforward. If I say something in the past, then I'll always go back and say, look, I think he's done well now. And what I've seen in the past, at the time, this is just me. It was the one that says that a lot of Celtic fans only think he was going to be the left back for the future and he's going to take into Europe and whatever else. But he's a bit for me, you know. But obviously, I agree with Jerry says Julian back. The quicker Julian's back, the better stuff. Help make the weak link. I think for me, Jerry, I still. Again, I'm not wanting to be critical of Stafford because he's been superb. But on what Julie's done for us, I do still believe that he's got a part to play. I think Ange says he will get an opportunity, but obviously when that arises, I guess it could be Sunday against Raith Rovers because it's a perfect game from Celtic Park, home game, a game you should be winning. Again, he might not get a lot of defending to do in his first game back, so I can maybe see that being a game. But I think no matter if he does play on Sunday, Julian, I think no matter what, I think Starfleet will come back in until he has an absolute mare because I know it's a rotation, it's a squad game, but unless you're really poor, I don't see why you change your back. I know, but it seems that if it could be a wee knock because that's maybe why Ralston's been playing the last today and the other day. But I thought in general, I rate Julian. But I think Julian will still need to wait a few weeks to get back in because Starfleet is superb.
Yeah, Julian's one of these ones. There's been a lot of questions asked because he's been on the bench and then suddenly disappears again. Mm-hmm. I'm quite looking forward to seeing him play again because what's quite nice about the squad now is you have the depth that you've been crying out for. You can afford to change things, but as you mentioned there, unless somebody is having an absolute torrid time, don't change your back four. I mean, how many managers have we seen learn that the hard way? I mean, the one that really sticks out for me was when Tony Mowbray became Celtic manager. I don't think he played the same back four twice in his whole time at the club. But on the other hand, having players for every position, having at least two for every position, you've got like a young Welsh and Julian, who I think could be the partnership for the weekend. It gets both of them a run out. It keeps them match sharp because although I think there's after tonight, I think there's 12 games to go, 13 games to go in the season. In the league anyway. But you've also got Europe, you've got the cups. You're going to need the squad. You need guys to come in that are fit. You don't want guys that are coming in lacking fitness. I know we have a couple of guys coming back from injury or haven't played a lot of football or haven't had the James McCarthy scenario where he's not had a pre-season. You need guys that are fit and firing because you're still campaigning on all fronts for silverware. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing Julian again. He seems to be the favoured centre half at the minute at Starfelt. Carter Vickers seems to just keep going. He's solid every week for me. But the one thing about Julian is Julian adds a bit more height to your defence, and he's also a threat going forward at corners. But no, I'm quite happy to see him come back in and get a run out. But I think the settled partnership of Starfelt and Carter Vickers will be the one that continues until, as we say, somebody has a complete nightmare.
I agree, mate. I think consistency is the key for the next few games and the end of the season, because unless, like you say, fitness wise or something like a torrid time, I don't really see why you change too much the squad. I know the night is probably a hard game, but you've got a few days rest to Sunday, so some of the guys might play. But I agree with Dex, Sam. I actually had it in my head before Dex says it, that I think the back two might be Welsh and Julian on Sunday, just to keep them fit. Maybe Starfelt or Vickers make the bench. I think one of them might drop out and get a total rest. And I agree with Dex. I think Vickers, for me, is a Premier League centre back. He's a Premier League star. I think he's superb. I think he's the best defender in Scotland to what I've seen so far. I think he's had one poor game that I've seen so far, Sam. I think he's been very, very competent and very complete. And for me, if it is £6 million roughly, £7 million, what Celtic need to pay to get him for Spurs, I know supposedly Spurs are letting Conte deal with the transfers now instead of basically the chairman, who's a nightmare to deal with. I think it would bode well because he's obviously not seen Vickers play unless he scouted him, but by the loan scouts to see how he's playing again. But for me, if we can get him for £6-7 million, you're getting, for me, a Premier League centre back. You look at Man U, they're paying £8 million for Maguire, so
don't even get me started on that.
So for me, £6-7 million for Vickers, if that is the quote in question, for me it's a no-brainer, because if you qualify for Europe, you're basically getting for fuck all in a way, because you're getting the money back.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the Maguire one. That infuriates me every time somebody mentions it. Anyway, but Vickers I think he's been Mr. Consistent. He's been, obviously we call Callum McGregor Mr. Consistent, but I think he's been majorly consistent. I did read about, obviously you were saying about Conte dealing with the transfers. Obviously whether or not it's true, I don't know. So people are saying that he maybe not even get, or he maybe not even want that for him. He maybe goes at least half of that. Obviously again, whether or not that's true, I don't know. But even if it is £6 million, I'd pay it, because I said in a previous podcast, like obviously we bang on but the likes of Hart, Jota, Kyogo, etc. Vickers has been the quiet one and all that. Like, I'm not saying nobody's noticed him and how good he's been, but he doesn't get spoke about again in the likes of them. So, as you say, I'd pay the £6 million, £7 million, or if it is going to be less than that, because you're getting a very, very high standard a centre half. Sorry, I had a complete mind blank there, but I think he's just correct me if I'm wrong, 23, 24 roughly.
Still quite young, mate, aye.
And you'd think he's been playing for like years. He has technically, because he's joined Tottenham, I think, when he was quite young, I think. And how he's not get a settled club, I don't know, because he's obviously come up here, albeit in the last day of the summer window, and he smashed it, to be honest. Personally, he's just comfortable in the ball, like he's passing. He's reading the tackles and whatever is just absolutely phenomenal. So if it was me, as I said, I would agree with you and say just pay it. And I reckon you would want to stay, because he's been like the likes of obviously Tottenham, Bournemouth, and a couple other clubs I can't remember off the top of my head. And he's not been able. I'm not saying through his inability, but he's not been able to hold down a spot. So I'd pay it, and he's one of the players that you could maybe double it stretch it maybe to triple it. I doubt it though, no, because you never really see, unless it's like a Harry Maguire, but going for that amount of money. So, but I'd pay it if it was me, because as I said, he's starting to be one of my players that I look in the team sheet and go, right, I feel a wee bit more settled. Starfield, as I said earlier, is a really good centre half, but he's always got that awkward moment in him. So I'm like, oh shit. And like the Hibs final, I think he pulled him through that, because he had a fucking horrid time. But he adds a lot of steel to that backline, and him and Hart have been two good additions, and obviously we could talk about Hart, so I'll leave it at that.
I agree, mate, with Vickers. I don't think we're the only guys, Derek Sam, that will be saying about Vickers. I think he's been very, very good. And I do believe that. I believe if we want to keep Jota, or we want to keep Vickers, or bring in that type of quality, I think winning the league is an absolute must, because I think if you don't win the league, I know you can still qualify for the Champions League by group stages or early qualifier, sorry, but I don't think you'll keep they two if we don't win the league. If we don't qualify for Europe, I don't think you keep them, because again, the money's a bit financially. You can't afford to spend maybe £50 million on two players when you're not going to guarantee to get that back. And if you do want to sign new two players, I think you would need to sell somebody, i.e. your big assets like a McGregor or somebody like that with that out for that amount of money, because if we don't qualify for Europe next year for the group stages, financially it's going to be it will be a detriment, because it means you will need to sell somebody. But again, that's a negative. For me, there's a negative to look at the new. If we do buy day two, I think if we win the league, I think you buy day two personally. Again, not only the last wee bit I'd like to talk about tonight, Dick, would be obviously Maeda. Thought was very quiet tonight. I know he dug in and he closed down. He was very quick and he worked hard, but I know he didn't get a lot of service, but I thought maybe it was his. I know he's only 20 at the team, but I thought he was quite quiet tonight, Dick. I think maybe on the onset, I think Jackie Marcus should have played. I think he'd ruffled everything a bit more. I don't think. I know maybe fitness wise, maybe that's why Jackie Marcus got a wee bit of rest to come on and obviously ruffle everything up the last 20 minutes or so. But I thought, from my opinion, I know we've won the game, but I thought Jackie Marcus would have been a better option to go to Aberdeen, maybe play Maeda against Sheffield Sunday to give him a bigger run out. But for me, again, I'm trying to not be critical, but I thought it was quiet tonight by the striker.
Yeah, I felt it was myself. But what I've noticed about Maeda is he constantly wants the ball into feet. And what I felt a lot of tonight is you were slinging a long ball up to him, because especially second half, when you were under pressure, like he's not going to win a ball in the air against Aberdeen defenders. It's not going to happen. Eventually, when the game was stretched, after he went off, you've seen it yourself, the foot race between Giamakis and Johnny Hayes. And one of the ones for everyone else, Johnny Hayes he's absolutely rapid. He is. He's like a greyhound. And I think that when the game was stretched, it would have been better for him, because he will run the channels. As we've seen at the weekend, he's very, very quick. Again, like yourself, I'm trying not to be too critical, because the guy's came in. He's scored 2 goals since he's come in. He's looked quite sharp. But yeah, probably not his best game in a Celtic jersey. But I think there will be more to come from him. I think because of the sensation that Kyogo has created with the way he started and everything else, I think guys like Maeda will show us what he's capable of. But I think tonight was just a difficult game for him. And as you mentioned yourself, the service into him wasn't great. And again, this sounds so negative. We've just up to Pittodrie and won 3-2. And I'm absolutely over the moon with that, the fact that we come back with 3 points. But obviously we're focused on certain points in the game. I think tonight the service into him wasn't great. He wants the ball into feet. He doesn't want it up his chest or up in the air. Although he will compete and will try, but I don't think that's his game. He wants to get the ball on the deck and try and bring people into play. Whereas Giamakis, as you say, he's shown us that he can do the ugly side of the game a bit. He can rough up defenders a wee bit and try and piss them off essentially. And he can hold the ball and try and link play. Whereas I think Maeda struggled with that. He was just out-muscled at times tonight. I think that was his biggest issue.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Maybe this is a game for Maeda. Maybe a welcome to Scottish football, Sam. It's not always easy when we Celtic. It can get tough and ready. And I wouldn't say he was poor. I just think he was very quiet. As Dick says, he didn't get the service at all, really. It was quite a stuffy game, to be fair, the second half especially. There wasn't a lot of clear-cut chances. It was maybe half chances we had. And I would say, Sam, the only big chances we had was the three we scored. I know that sounds daft, but it was the three chances that we had to score. The rest were all these snippets and half chances. And even though Aberdeen scored two, apart from their two chances, Sam, I know it was a wee bit rocky, but they didn't have much again. It was only really because I thought we stopped playing. I know they pressed us high and we can adapt that a bit and didn't play, but I thought Aberdeen playing due to our detriment, not due to Aberdeen playing superb. I thought it was doing to us. Obviously, Maeda, Sam, I thought he was quite quiet. But again, I'm with Dick. I do fully believe he will come good, and I think he will score goals because let's be fair, Ange when he signed him, if he didn't think he was enough, and I think I've seen much of him that I think he's going to do well for us, i.e. maybe in Europe if it's doing the channel run, hold it up, link up, be speed, and I do agree with Dick as well that I think because of Kyogo's the atmosphere around Kyogo, the hype and how he's gone in, he's maybe going to be judged a wee bit on can he do the same,
Yep.
and he might actually take a few more weeks to bed into the squad.
Aye, definitely, because it's similar to going back to obviously Greg Taylor, how Greg Taylor and whatever will get compared to Tierney because of obviously the way he played, the performances he put in, the effort, etc. And the same obviously as Dex said with Kyogo, the way he started with his goals, his play, the atmosphere he's brought to the team, his personality, etc. The likes of Maeda and obviously Hatate, etc. will get compared to him. And he'll be the benchmark. That's that word. Obviously, that was the one I was looking for. But he'll be the benchmark that these Japanese players will need to try and reach, because they'll obviously, as Dex says, they'll get compared to Kyogo, which I don't think is fair because they're all different types of players. Well, maybe not Maeda and Kyogo, but they're all different personalities and whatever. So, it was one of these quiet games. I did use, and reflecting back on it, it's probably a wee bit strong. I did use the word he was a passenger tonight. As I said, it's probably harsh on me, so I apologise to Maeda if he's watching. But it's the service you're trying. It goes back to the whole point as well. Like against Livingston, we put 80 odd crosses into the box. To was it Kyogo that was playing? I can't remember. But my point is, it's obviously somebody that's tiny. You play Yakimakis at the point you made. You're getting a tall, big lumpy a boy that's no scared to throw himself about. So it lacks service tonight. That's probably it. And also we're trying to play balls out of the tap, which isn't his game.
I agree, mate. I do think he'll come good, like both of says. I think he's, especially in the Scottish game, he's very, very quick. I think against your lesser teams like your St Murray's and Ross Counties, especially at the back, how kind of maybe slow they are compared to some of the better teams in the league. I think he'll just want to mock them. I think we've 3 different options now. Even Ayeti, people all obviously discount Ayeti's still part of the squad. I still believe Ayeti fully fit. Maybe not Celtic. I think he will score goals. He's done it for Basel. Maybe just Celtic's known the team for him to do that. But obviously, going forward, what was your kind of overall thoughts of the game, and obviously looking forward to the Fulhams next?
Overall thoughts would be just I said it before the game today. Even taking the wee guy to school this morning, he was asked about who we're playing tonight and everything else, and he's asked me, Dad, what do you think the game will be like? And as I said to you earlier on, going up to Pittodrie, it's always a difficult game for us. The conditions can be difficult. Aberdeen make it hard for you. They get stuck in. Even I found myself shouting obscenities at Scott Brown at one point tonight, which not one not one of my prouder moments, but I'm still extremely pleased. You've come a long way in such a short space of time. Over the last 6 months, the massive feel good factors back. You went up to Aberdeen, yeah, all right. You had to dig in the second half and ground out the victory. You conceded the equaliser. You went up the park and scored right away. That shades teams of Celtic we've seen before. And yeah. Although the second half was a tough watch, I'm absolutely ecstatic. You're sitting top of the league. You're still in every other cup competition. You've got a bit of silverware in the drove room. Future's bright, lads. Future's good.
I agree, mate. I'm more like the balancing games and obviously pointing out certain things we need to do better. But I'm like you, mate. The feel good factor's back. I'm walking about singing "Roll With It" and singing Glasgow Celtic putting on a show. I just can't stop singing it because it just shows you how much your football team it doesn't always control your life, but it controls your mood sometimes. And when your team's doing well, you're always looking forward to the next game and the next game, and you're looking forward to who's one we're playing. And last year it was fucking just win this fucking week. Who's playing this week? Who's in the papers this week? Do you know what I mean? But for me, Sam, I'm not deck. The future's bright as it stands so far. Trophy in the bag. Scottish Cup game against Raith Rovers on Sunday. Which again, I think will be a hard game. They'll want to come and play. They're a decent side. John McGuinn's wanting playing good football. I think they'll come and try and play. I don't think they'll sit back, because if they sit back, I think we'll just pick them off. But I think if they try and play, they might try and put under pressure. But again, I think we'll pick them off. So I think no matter how they come and play, if we're even on 70% of our games, Sam, I think we just pick them off and hopefully we can put on a show for the fans and get to the next round. But again, cup football, it's just about winning the game.
Aye, no, definitely. On the songs, you're forgetting Fireball, the most important song of all.
Fireball!
Sorry, just you brought that point up and I had to make it, but aye. It is I'm trying not to, obviously, I've been a wee bit negative tonight, but I'm ecstatic, as Dex says, I'm ecstatic as well that we won. I'm just tired, so my face doesn't show it. But it's Pittodrie's not the easiest ground to go to, is obviously we both, all three is no, sorry. And it wasn't the easiest game, obviously, and it wasn't the easiest watch, but as we've said, obviously in the last coming up in an hour now, we dug in. That's the main thing. We dug in, done what we needed to do, grinded out the win, and obviously got the right result that we obviously needed.
The last wee bit of Daniel's overall decent performance, showed resilience scoring after a second goal, sat back a bit in the second half, and defence at set pieces, did a bit of work, good win at a difficult place. I agree, Daniel. Danny, I agree, mate. It is a hard place to go, especially in Scotland. I think still, I know we've got the best defensive record in the league. I think set pieces is still a bit of a concern in certain times. I think it's actually most of goals we concede is through set pieces. Not a lot of teams score world class 30-yarders or 40-yard goals against us. It's normally be silly set pieces that we concede. But again, I agree for what Jerry said as well. It's a different mentality, this squad as well, Daniel. I think we'll all agree with that. I think going forward, that's maybe only a tiny bit of what we need to do defensively. I think going forward we're superb. Just need to, again, I know we were critical before, no scoring enough goals, but now we're creating chances and we're scoring them. Even when we're playing poor, like maybe the second half tonight, we didn't play as good as we have been. But again, lads, for me as well, the future's bright. We're under Ange, and hopefully Raith Rovers, we get through to the next round of the cup and we go forever. Again, Sam, Dick, thanks a lot for your time, lads. Hail, and take care.
Do it. Cheers, thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.